San Diego Comic-Con 2026 has come and gone, and I was fortunate enough to be in attendance, and Jazwares had an exclusive this year at their booth for Five Nights at Freddy's. As you can see here, it does contain Golden Freddy, as well as Midnight Freddy from FNAF VR. And taking a look at the packaging here, you can see only 1,000 of these were produced, and there's some faint text for "It's Me," just like the game. This is a unique render of Golden Freddy that, to my knowledge, hasn't been seen on any promotional stuff, and it's also not in the game. It looks really similar to some of his renders in the game, but it is just slightly different. Some people have been claiming it's AI assisted because the Endo mouth in here looks a little weird. I don't think so, but it does look a little odd. See at the top, there's the checkerboard pattern, the Five Nights at Freddy's logo, and then Golden Freddy again. And this packaging is actually really cool because it has Velcro here. It says "It's Me" on the side. It says that it's an exclusive, and it opens up to showcase the figures here. This packaging is really cool. I kind of wish all of the Endo series was like this. And you can see that you do actually get enough parts to have two characters at the same time, unlike the normal released figures, unfortunately. You can see here on the left we have Midnight Freddy, who I always thought was called Hard Mode Freddy, but you know, whatever. I'll go with what the official merch says. And then Golden Freddy here on the right. Now, this 2-pack has had some controversy because, you know, an obscure character like Midnight Freddy, okay, fine, make that an exclusive. But a very, very important character who is a fan favorite, making that an exclusive, a lot of people were agitated about that. Thankfully though, Jazwares did just announce that under the Jazwares Vault website, there will be a 2-pack with Withered Freddy and Golden Freddy. That's kind of a weird pairing, and you know, Jazwares Vault does have its own host of issues, mainly scalping problems, but at least this fan favorite character isn't going to be stuck in just this pack. But that's enough talking about all that. Let's get a look at what these guys are like outside of the packaging. First, I'm going to have us take a look at Midnight Freddy, and I'm not going to spend too much time on the endoskeletons here, just because I'm sure most of you guys are really familiar with the articulation and how these guys work. But as you can see here, Midnight Freddy does have an all matte black endoskeleton based off Endo 01. Now, let's get him in his suit. And here is Midnight Freddy. Don't really have much to say about him, you know, it's just an all black version of FNAF 1 Freddy. Now, all of the black on this is the same. There's no like different shades or anything, which is fine. That is how this version of Freddy appears in FNAF VR. But yeah, going to this one off of the Security Breach figures it's really quality-wise some whiplash, because unfortunately the older Jazwares figures, just their articulation is so limited. I'm not even going to go over it because, like, what is there to say? You can't really get these guys to do much other than sitting. Unfortunately, you know, the head's still on swivels, not ball joints like the new figures. The jaw can open and close, but yeah, I don't really have much to say about this. I mean, cool thing to sort of have in the back of your display if you know about the character, you know. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about the Midnight Freddy. Sorry, I keep wanting to call him Hard Mode Freddy because that's what I've been calling him for years. But yeah, anyway, let's get to the comparison segment here. Compared to the FNAF 1 Freddy by the Endo series, you know, they are exactly the same, except this one has an all-black endoskeleton, and obviously this one has a lot more paintwork on it. Let's do some other comparisons, though, to things that are a little bit more topical. Here is Shadow Mangle, who is also from FNAF VR, and interestingly enough here, Hard Mode Freddy / Midnight Freddy, he is completely pitch black, but Mangle is kind of a mix of colors, but mostly dark purple, which, you know, I don't know. I think this is more accurate to the game than this, but I think I like this better. Another figure that was ridiculously hard to get here is Shadow Freddy, and once again about the whole purple versus black thing. And one more comparison, which I think is topical just because this is really recent, and so is this. Here is the, quote, Shadow Bonnie from the Jazwares Vault. I have a lot to say about this release, but that's going to be its own separate video. But it looks like the Shadow Bonnie here is kind of like a speckled purple over black. This is flat black, and then this is dark purple, and then this is just purple. I don't know. I mean, It's weird. I know these characters all have different appearances in their source material. You're really weird. I'll get to you another time, but that's really all I have to say about the Midnight Freddy here. Let's get on to what you actually came here for, Golden Freddy. Taking a look here at Golden Freddy's endoskeleton, I gotta say something that I've noticed from Jazwares lately is that their paintwork on the endos is getting a lot better. If you compare back to the very original first wave releases, you can see there is some speckled weathering and some detail, but the new ones from Jazwares Vault and also this exclusive have this really, I don't know, a lot more realistic wash to them with the rustic textures. I really appreciate it. You can also see here that the eyes are glossy black with little white pinpoints. I wish they were matte black personally, but we'll just have to see how it looks with Golden Freddy's suit on. Speaking of which, and here is Golden Freddy in all of his glory, question mark. Once again, I have similar feelings on this as I do about Midnight Freddy, where it's just, after the glam rock figures, the limited articulation and the drawbacks of these original figures is just even more apparent. You know, he doesn't come with his microphone as well, which is a bit unfortunate. But, I don't know, let's go over the positives real quick. There is a, looks like there's, oh, I thought there was different paint on the feet. It looks like that is still the same shade of yellow. It's really throwing me off. On camera, it looks different than it does in person. But the belly here is absolutely a different shade of yellow than the rest of the body. And there's no paint bleed here. And then the bow tie is pretty good. The freckles look good. Like I had mentioned before in the endo segment, I don't really like the glossy eyes. I think matte black would have been much better and much truer to the game, especially because, you know, these aren't supposed to be black eyes. They're supposed to be hollow sockets. But, you know, what can you do? And, you know, has the same very limited posability as the original release of Freddy, who I will grab right now for comparison. So here's Golden Freddy next to regular Freddy from FNAF 1. Here's Golden Freddy next to Bonnie. I don't have Chica at the moment, and then Foxy is still in the packaging, but kind of a little taster here of the FNAF 1 crew. I do have some other comparisons that I want to do with Golden Freddy here, but first, let's go back to complaining about articulation. This isn't really Jazwares' fault. I don't know any way this would be possible, but the fact that you can't get Golden Freddy in his iconic pose is kind of disappointing. I mean, you could get him to sit down, kind of like in the game, but even then, that happens. And he doesn't have his microphone like he's supposed to, and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, as a little display piece just on the shelf, it's not horrible, you know, like, this looks like Golden Freddy, like, that's fine. About the color, I really don't know how I feel about it. Golden Freddy's shade is really hard to discern because, you know, it's kind of just a heavily edited version of the textures of normal Freddy, so I don't know any way it could be replicated in real life and have it look good. It looks pretty much identical here to the Jump Scare series version of Golden Freddy, who is basically the same thing, just smaller and less articulation. And then a really interesting comparison is, here's the Funko Golden Freddy. This is the original release from, what, 2016? Like, this is the one I got in middle school when I was a kid. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting things to dissect here. So this one of the things I always hated about this figure was that it doesn't have the little white dots on the eyes, and also the color matching is really poor. You can see the shoulder pads don't match the rest of the body, but I did like how it had a dark wash over it. It kind of gave that impression of the dirty matted fur texture that all of the characters in FNAF 1 have. The Endo and Jump Scare series are both completely lacking that, which makes them look a lot more fake-y, kind of like the models used in FNAF AR, but whatever. Here is next to Midnight Freddy, so you can see that's what comes in the full set. Whoops. And then here he is next to another character who is an apparition like Golden Freddy, who's not really physical. I got Shadow Freddy here. And yeah, you can see both these guys also have similar things going on with the eyes, but the approach is a bit different. Now, on Shadow Freddy here, my copy, the eyes aren't completely straight. The Comic-Con version here for Golden Freddy is a lot more consistent, but I prefer the matte eyes from Shadow Freddy. Speaking of, actually, I'm gonna run some experiments real quick. Here's how Golden Freddy looks with Shadow Freddy's eyes, and I like that they're matte, but unfortunately the pupils just look a little bit too big. Here's how he looks with completely empty sockets, which is a little bit cursed. And here's Golden Freddy with normal Freddy's eyes, trying to kind of mimic what Fredbear could have looked like back in the Fredbear's Family Diner era. This is weird. It's kind of trippy. I don't like it. And after a quick trip to my arts and craft supplies, I did something I think is pretty cool. I made more accurate eyes for Golden Freddy, and they even follow you. So what I did was I just took a note card, drew on it with Sharpie, cut out a square, placed it on the endoskeleton head, and then put the face shell back on, used a toothpick with white paint to make the eyes, and now I have a much more accurate version of Golden Freddy, and it's completely reversible, so it doesn't damage the figure. And not to toot my own horn, but I think this is pretty awesome. Now I'm gonna try and get him in as close of a pose as I can manage to how he looks in the game. And this was the best I could manage. I think it looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, the hands don't go all the way to the ground, and I had to remove the thighs. It looks really silly from other angles, but it gets the general impression down. And, you know, I think that's how I'm gonna have this guy displayed from now on. And that is the Comic-Con exclusive Golden Freddy and Midnight Freddy 2-pack. It's kind of a mixed bag, you know, it has a lot of drawbacks, but it is a cool item. I understand why people would be really frustrated with this. I mean, exclusives are pretty much always frustrating for people that are completionists. I'm glad that Golden Freddy is gonna get another shot on Jazwares Vault for people that haven't got this release. But yeah, that's really all I got to say on this one. I do have a lot more FNAF reviews coming. I do still need to do the one for Glamrock Freddy, and then I do have this 2-pack from Jazwares Vault. I also have the one with Foxy and Radioactive Foxy. And then after that, guys, I promise I will go back to doing videos about trains. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Peace.